format, didn't he? Changed the team. Absolutely fantastic.
Up the Now then, 3-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. Quite happy with that scoreline. Joining me in the RedArmy.tv studio, Neil Dyball.
Hello.
Absolute stalwart of Red Army he is. He's in every week. And Simon Bolton out on the wing there. Simon, big Borough fan, been involved in the supporters club, all this sort of stuff. Indeed. And presents his very own radio show, talking about the Borough, I'm sure, on Zetland
every
FM.
week.
Every week. Fellas, before we get stuck into Sheffield Wednesday, we've got to say happy birthday to Brian Robson. 60 years of age, is Captain Fantastic as of today. So, quick happy birthday. Did a great job for us, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. Put us on the map. Well done, Robbo. Happy birthday, mate. Right, Sheffield Wednesday. I'll start with you, Neil. Performance against Wednesday. What did you make of it?
Well, obviously the first half was a bit of a non-event in terms of entertainment, but in the second half we up the game and up the levels, and suddenly we started scoring goals. I mean, I wasn't expecting a 3-0 win, but obviously you're going to take it. It's just going to breed confidence in the side.
Hey, I'll take the 3-0 win, mate, but I didn't want 3-0. I wanted 2-0. Negredo scoring the first goal because I had it on a bet.
Well, he scored, but he well, I suppose it's his poacher's striker's instinct to chase the ball, and luckily their keeper wasn't fully paying attention of whereabouts he was, because he came in and scored the tapping.
Simon, you won a shed full of cash on that, didn't you?
No, it was the Swansea game.
Oh, the Swansea game.
Negredo scored it was Grant, wasn't it, with the first goal against...
It was. Okay, so I'll take that back. You didn't win a shed load of money. You wish you had. But what about that slow start? I mean,
dreadful, wasn't it?
Why?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know Idol said he likened it to a first pre-season friendly game or something, almost like that mentality. Absolutely couldn't believe it. I was sat there thinking, what on earth am I watching here? And obviously we got the goal, we got the breakthrough, and then the spark was the sending off. After that, I think it just picked up after the sending off, because he must have thought, the team must have thought, well, we can't just sit here now. When we get the ball, we're actually going to have to go forward to take it out of our away from the penalty area.
How weird is it, Neil, that it takes us to go down to 10 men before we engage more than first gear?
It's just one of those things, really. I mean, it's not just Middlesbrough, it's any team that's any good.
Is it the fear factor? Do you think it's the fear factor, like, hey, we could be in trouble here, so we better roll our sleeves up and get stuck in?
Almost. It's like the players, like you said, they do have to book their ideas up, and so they think, oh, well, we'll have to do a bit of running and we'll have to do a bit of tackling. And obviously it kind of worked into that respect, that we actually started to perform.
I'd like to see us do it with 11 men, and I'd like to see us do it in the Premier League as well as in the FA Cup. But what about Negredo? Neil touched on that, Simon. This guy runs his nuts off, and he did against Sheffield Wednesday as well. I mean, how much respect has to go out there to a guy who's isolated from his attacking midfielders for quite a lot of the time?
Well, he is in every game, isn't he, really? And the work that he has to put in, week out, is phenomenal. And just his attitude for that second goal as well. Comedy element to it there was, but only because he was willing to have a right good charge at the keeper and show a bit of interest. And he's got to do it, because let's face it, if he wasn't interested in the formation and the way that we're playing, nobody at all would be getting anywhere near up front, because we just don't support the front men enough. There was a few occasions in that match where there was a ball went in the air. There was nobody in the area. The first half, I should point out. Second half, obviously, the mentality changed. But yeah, respect to Negredo. He put a shift in, I think is the phrase.
No, put a shift in, run his nuts off, whatever you prefer. Neil, what about Adama Traore? There was a bit of a switch. Let's try him across on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. Did it work?
Kind of. I mean, to be honest, I don't know whether he knows himself where his best position is. Because I think originally when he was at Barcelona, he was a forward predominantly. But obviously you come into the Middlesbrough side or even I suppose the Villa, and he's kind of being played around, saying, well, which is your position? Which can you make your own? I mean, he's got the pace, but at the moment he just doesn't seem to have the end product. I mean, because he can beat players. I think predominantly of the game against Tottenham at home, where he came on and he just ran through him like a dose.
He gave something different, didn't he?
Oh, definitely. And you know, the Spurs team then started to worry and think, but obviously there was no end product.
Si, Fly Me to the Moon message boards have been pretty heavy this week with Adama Traore and some criticism as well. Did it work for you? Did he work against Wales?
Not at all. I didn't think he looked comfortable at all. I mean, against Leicester, some of the end product against Leicester wasn't that great, but he does look more comfortable on the other side. I felt against Wednesday he was just simply a lot of the time running down into the corner and not going anywhere. And when sometimes he just got the ball, decided he'd just have a run at it, but didn't seem to know what to do with it once he got it anywhere near the penalty area. So I don't think it was effective, no.
Now, I'm sure we all are quite happy that Negredo played, because he scored a goal and he caused a few problems and put a shift in, as we said. But was that match an ideal game to throw Gusted, the new signing, straight in alongside Jordan Rhodes? Great partnership they had at Blackburn Rovers, scored a ton of goals when they played alongside and fed off each other. Was the Wednesday game really crying out for something like that, or am I just being a bit of a romantic here?
No, I thought it was. I thought it would have been an ideal opportunity, give that a go. I don't know whether there was anything in the back of Karanka's mind about cup tying a player, because I think that rule still applies. Yeah. I don't know whether that would have affected any kind of transfer value. People maybe wouldn't have been put off signing Jordan Rhodes just because he played for us in the cup. But no, I think it was a good opportunity, because you've got to have something different. But this is a criticism that often gets fired at Aitor Karanka. He doesn't seem to have a plan B. Does he not have a plan B because he doesn't know how the other system's going to work? Well, you got a game against Sheffield Wednesday that ain't going to cost you any league points if we lose. All right, you want to do well on the FA Cup, but try it, for heaven's sake. Just go for it in that sort of game. If it doesn't, should have started with it. If it didn't work, second half, you could have brought Negredo on.
Yeah. It's Accrington and Stanley we've got, fellas, at home. What sort of draws that for you, Neil? They did beat us in 2013, by the way. Oh. Sorry to remind you of that.
A slightly different team, right?
Yeah, it was.
True enough, but I mean,
are you happy with it?
Might have something over it, but yes, in a way. I mean, I think back to the time when we got to 2 cup finals and we got relegated that time with Ravanelli, Juninho and co. And obviously we had a good draws in the cup, and obviously we went on to the final, but we were falling at the last hurdle. But again, I suppose it's an ideal opportunity to say, right,
play Rhodes and Gusted.
Yeah, basically,
but still here.
I almost think that Aitor will turn around and think, right, this is your chance to either Rhodes or Gusted or whoever else plays up front and say, this is your opportunity to, nail yourself into the team and show you can play and show you can score and help the team. But because I think back to the Southampton away game when Rhodes did play, and I think he only had about 1 shot, and I thought that was Karan could probably turn around at the end of the game. I thought, well, yeah, that was your chance. You're not getting in the team now. But it's as harsh as that sounds, because I know how good he was when we were in the Championship, and how he helped get us promoted. But it's just when you're in the top at the top table, so to speak, you've got to put away your chances. Although things could be levelled with Negredo missing, or
we don't know what's going to happen, do we, in a handful of weeks' time? But we'll see. What sort of draws it for you, Simon? Would you rather have Manchester United away, go on there, have a decent performance, get out of the cup and focus on the league? Or does this give us hope of yet another Wembley appearance?
Well, when the draw was being made, I was glad it wasn't Chelsea away or something like that, because you've got to think it's a tougher draw. No, it's obviously the ideal draw for us. I don't know whether it's the ideal draw for them. I think Man City was still in the hat when it came out, but no, you'd fancy it, wouldn't you? You're talking about the likelihood of someone like Jordan Rhodes and Gusted playing in that game. Whether you can judge the effectiveness of that particular partnership against Accrington Stanley, when really we want them to judge them against Premier League opposition. But no, you can't argue with it. It's potential banana skin. Obviously, if they win, we're going to be the first game on Match of the Day that week because they'll absolutely love it.
But it's also the same, in the same breath, it's the potential of being in the last 16.
Well, that's just
you would
it,
expect us to go through.
If you want to see us progress in the Cup, you can't argue with that draw at all.
Yeah. Just to wrap up the FA Cup then, let's get Joe's take. Yes, Joe Nicholson, our roving Borough reporter, always fires in a report for us after a game. Here are his views after the Sheffield Wednesday 3-0 victory.
Outside at the Riverside following Borough's 3-0 victory over Sheffield Wednesday in the FA Cup. In the end, a convincing victory for Aitor Karanka's side after what was quite a poor first half. Both sides gave the ball away quite cheaply and Borough really struggled to get out of second gear. Very few goal-scoring opportunities in that first 45 minutes. But after the break, Borough took the lead, a great free kick from Grant Ledbetter on 55 minutes, and the game really opened up after that. Borough went down to 10 men. Moments later, when Daniel Ayala was shown a straight red card. I haven't seen the replay, but it looked harsh, but it was a straight red for Ayala. Sheffield Wednesday did then manage to get a few more men forward, but didn't really trouble the Borough goalkeeper, Brad Guzan. Borough posed a threat on the counter-attack and made it 2-0 when the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper, Joe Wildsmith, made an error and Alvaro Negredo made it 2. Martin Daru made it 3 in stoppage time as Borough ran out comfortable 3-0 winners to progress to the fourth round.
Thanks for that, Joe. Well, you might have had to have been living on Mars or something if you hadn't have realised transfer window is open. Bit of business been done, fellas. I'll start with you first, Simon. Nugent to Derby. He seemed fairly handy for us. He did a decent job in the Championship, Nugent. A lot of fans will be saying he didn't really get his chance in the Premier League, but what sort of player was he for us?
Well, he did the job that we bought him for when we went in the Championship. We needed a striker who was, ideal at that level, and what he was. He got us some good goals, none more so than the Hull one. He'll go down in folklore for that one. When the club was at a pretty low ebb and we needed a lift, we got it in that one. So he'll be always thanked for that one. And he leaves with everybody's best wishes. I don't think he is a Premier League player anymore, myself personally. But Derby, at the level they're scrapping to get out of that league, it'll be ideal for him.
Yeah,
and I don't blame him at all for going for him.
Yeah.
He will get goals at that level.
I'm sure he will do a job for them. And there's a big mate of mine who's a Derby fan, and I've told him exactly that. But the fee rising up to £2.5 million is what we're told. Is it a good bit of business for Nugent for us?
Given his age, I think so. Well, Simon was saying about the whole game, then that's going to stick in his mind. But the one thing that I'm going to remember is against Ipswich away, where he came on and he's got a phenomenal record of, I think, 9 goals in 10 games against them. And
I think it was better than that. I think it was something like 14 in 15, so it's
possibly,
quite significant. Yeah,
but he comes on and he just bangs it in, and I thought he was in the past when Middlesbrough had games against players of his ilk, that kind of player, and you're thinking, oh no, they're playing Nugent against us, because when he used to play for Portsmouth and we played them down there and he scored, and I thought, he's just the horrible type of player to play against.
Yeah.
But then we ended up signing him, so he was brilliant. He was a good player, but obviously he's maybe getting a bit older and losing.
Maybe the legs are not as quick as they used to be. But
definitely.
A good player. Always had a smile on his face. Seemed to enjoy himself, and we do wish him well. As we saunter our way through this transfer web, that's the one that's done. One that appears to be somewhere near being done involves Stuart Downing going to Palace. That's what we're led to believe is going to happen. He's come out today and said he wants to stay in the Premier League, so that scuppers Newcastle's chances of getting him if that happens. Interestingly, the Northern Echo had a poll, online poll, asking, would you be happy for Stuart Downing to leave the Riverside this month? 43% of Borough fans said yes, 35% said no. Where do you stand on that? Are you quite happy to let Stewie Downing go?
I think he doesn't really feature, I think, much in Karanka's plans for the future. I'm personally disappointed, and I've been slightly disappointed since he came to the club, because I wanted him to be more of a talisman and the senior head than the guy who the local lad made good. What he was, I think, in his last season at West Ham, he was outstanding. And I don't think he's ever really reached that level. Maybe the Championship was the wrong league for him, and he should never have dropped out of it. And I can understand why he wouldn't want to go back down there. But in the longer term picture, if he's not part of the plans and Aitor Karanka wants to reduce the squad down so that he's got a Premier League squad, he can only have so many in his first squad, he's got to get a few players out, and unfortunately, because Stewie's not in the team, he's an ideal candidate. Yeah. So disappointed that he hasn't had a bigger impact overall, but I can see now why they would want to maybe ship him out.
Martin Williams has been tweeting, apart from Downing being homegrown, what has he brought that's met or exceeded our expectations that the rumoured signings can't deliver on? Rumoured signings being the likes of Bojan, Kirkic and the like. So Martin Williams probably subscribing to that as well. For you, Neil, Daniel Ayala. You know, we saw him get sent off against Wednesday. It's a 3-match ban. The appeal failed. He's out probably for the rest of the month. Have we seen the last of Danny Ayala in a Borough shirt, do you think?
Possibly. I mean, it's not been an ideal situation that he's putting himself in, because obviously with the window open now, I mean, Karanka's obviously, he's been eyeing up players abroad, defenders, you know, so is
and he's probably down to about 4th picking now, isn't he, as far as the Borough's concerned?
I mean, there's a few defenders which have come into the fore in the Borough side and, you know, nailing the flag to the post, if you like.
Yeah, and Dale Fry's been recalled back as well, so it's not as if there isn't competition there. Well, another one we'd wish well, because he had a great season last season.
Well, you'd find it hard to believe a year ago that we're talking about him going, because a year ago he was the top man.
Yeah.
You know, but I think as soon as Callum Chambers came in, the writing was on the wall.
Definitely,
yeah.
Let's look the other way. Possibles coming in, and we've mentioned a couple of them, but Snodgrass is the latest one. The Echo's been running with saying the Borough are after Snodgrass. When you read the story, they're not actually, but would he? I know West Ham have upped their bid to $5 million. Si, would Snodgrass work for us?
I don't know. I've not seen enough of him to rate him. You know, to say whether he is actually top quality or not. But it doesn't excite. Put it that way. I don't know. I think if we brought him in, I don't know what a huge amount of difference he'd make. Maybe it's just simply because I haven't seen enough of him. I watched him last night against Manchester United, and he didn't have the best of games. But then again, you know, Hull haven't had the best of form recently anyway. But he's not a player that excites me, but if we brought him in at the right price, then fair enough.
Okay, let's say then Snodgrass, and let's say Bojan, Kirkic, or even Jesse Rodriguez is the latest one we've been linked with. Neil, would you like to see a Kirkic or a Rodriguez coming in? It's almost harping back to the Robbo days where the big names started coming in. Would that excite you?
I don't really know much about the defenders coming in, but
well, Kirkic is more of an attacking midfielder.
Right.
Can play as a winger. Rodriguez is certainly a winger, so it's more attacking. We're looking at names that are coming in from an attacking perspective.
Right, yeah, obviously we've kind of got the the defence sorted out, but yeah, with obviously Downing going, or potentially going, then I suppose we will need a winger, or we'll need a creative midfielder, because, I mean, Stuart, you know, he used to come on and, you know, set players up, but obviously of recently he's not really been figuring in the plans.
The Stuart Ripley type runs down the wing have seemed to have disappeared with Downing, isn't it? So fresh blood, maybe on the wide position, bit of excitement. You'd be happy with that?
Possibly, yeah, definitely.
Well, it looks like the Gazette asked the question. They did their polls. Should Borough try to sign Boyan in the transfer window? 94% said yes. So he's with Stoke. He did have a knee injury, and that's my concern, Simon. That, you know, a player who did phenomenally or was doing phenomenally, it's a bit like Janino with his ankle injury, isn't it? Doing phenomenally well, has a bad, and it was ligament damage in Boyan's case, and he's come back and he's not been as effective. Do you think a move could reignite him performance-wise? Can that have that effect on a player, new start? Well,
I think they always hope that a move, different manager, different setup, different influence, can revitalise a player. And you would hope in this case, yes, it is, because if he's coming to us, we hope that he's.
We want him to be
we want
there.
him to be top. We want him to be top class. I mean, I take the point about Juninho. Once he had that bad injury, he did lose it slightly. He was never quite the same player. But that was getting on for 20 years ago now. You would hope that the medical science and stuff has come on and players can get back to that top form. But whether they actually do, I don't know.
It might be 20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
We still love him.
Oh, definitely.
We do. A couple of tweets coming in on this subject. Michael Oakes, signing Jesse would be a real statement of intent, but Boyan seems more likely. Interesting one. Without Karanka, these players would never be options for the Borough. The Borough blogger, it's nice to see Borough being linked with big players again. Reminds me of the likes of Juninho, Ravanelli and Mendieta. Nobody mentioned Branca. Can never get them sorted out. Branco was the Brazilian.
Branco was a Brazilian.
With the free kick, and that's all he could do. Nice. Good to see that. Fellas, we've got to talk about league performances because we've got Watford not too far away. But before we do that, time for a quick break. Let's catch up with the latest news. Here's Chris Story.
We start with transfer news, and Stoke City Twitter feed, Stoke Loud and Proud, are reporting that Borough have made a big offer for attacker Bojan. The site claims that the offer for the 26-year-old is too big for Stoke to turn down. Aitor Karanka has made no secret of his admiration for the former Barcelona star. As you've heard, Crystal Palace have become frontrunners in the battle to sign Borough's winger Stuart Downing. It's reported the Eagles want to sign Downing on a permanent deal, but Borough prefer a loan move. Downing played for the new Palace boss Sam Allardyce for 2 years at West Ham before his move to the Riverside. And also this week, Borough keeper Victor Valdez dropped into a class to surprise Eglescliffe School foreign language students. The pupils were at the Riverside for their MFC Foundation's Shoot for Success event and were able to listen to Valdez as he used his multilingual skills to talk about his home in Spain and answer questions about how he learned English. Finally, the Mirror are reporting that Chelsea have lined up one of our own Ben Gibson as their #1 transfer target. The paper reports that Antonio Conte needs to secure a replacement for John Terry and that he sees Gibson as that man. It also states the Premier League leaders will need to offer over £30 million to stand a chance of signing him. And don't forget, if you have any news, Borough related or not, or even you just want to plug an event, send it to us here at redarmy.tv. You can email us studio@redarmy.tv or send it via social media at Borough Red Army.
Thanks for that, Chris, and congratulations, mate. He's just had a couple of little babies, so well done, mate, and Mrs. Chris. Right, got an email here from Ryan Fotheringham, quite an interesting one. Do you think it's a good idea to maybe introduce a mid-season friendly tournament? It's something that you and the club maybe could discuss in the future, something I think the fans would like, the club could benefit from, and it would be played during international breaks. Thanks for that one, Ryan. We will pass your suggestion on to the club. I don't think RedArmy.tv can put on an international tournament, but we will pass your suggestion on. When it comes to international week, fellas, what, a quick friendly with Ajax or somebody like that, would you fancy it?
I think they'd rather just let them have a break, to be honest.
Put the feet up, let it go.
Just and get them in on the training ground. Yeah, I think that would be the better thing. I'm not. No.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. But decent idea. Thanks. Send them in. Don't forget, you can email us studio@redarmy.tv or on social media @BoroughRedArmy. Simple as that. Get your questions in. Get your messages in. Whatever you want to do. Want to get on the show? Send us an email. Send us a social media DM. Yeah, that's them. DMs. I'm an old dinosaur. Fellas, fly me to the moon. It's something we're going to start this week. We've touched on it earlier. Top 5 threads. Mark Lawrenson, his anti-Borough comments. Any surprise there? Him saying, no, we're not going to have a good cup run?
Doesn't like us at all, does it?
Nah, it doesn't. Adama Traore problem. That's been pretty hot on the message boards, which isn't a surprise. We mentioned that earlier. One which surprised me, Dimmy's Restaurant. Have either of you
not tried it yet? No.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few.
But I mean, if it's a Greek restaurant, I'm well up for that. So we will be. Yeah.
Get in, give it a try. Dimmy, get us in with your cameras, mate. We'll have a look around. So Dimmy's Restaurant is flying on Fly Me. Patrick Bamford, here's another one, another thread in the top 5. Will he or won't he come back? Neil, would you like to see him come back in the Premier League?
It's one of those things. I mean, obviously when he was with Middlesbrough when we were in the Championship, and he got his mojo back, he was scoring goals, he was full of confidence, and then obviously we didn't go up because through the playoffs, and
he left.
He just seemed to say, I want Premier League football, I don't want to be in the Championship, that's not me, and maybe thinking he might get stuck in the quagmire that is the Championship and think, well, I don't want to be labelled as a Championship player that can't hack it in the Premier League. And obviously Palace came in and said, oh, we'll have him on loan from Chelsea. And obviously, and then he didn't play at all for them.
Yeah. So one that's gone now, time's gone, probably not the right option for us, Si, or do you like it?
I was surprised when we were linked again. I thought, really? I mean, yeah, you know, if we'd got promoted that season, I think he would have joined, absolutely. But with him having gone to these other clubs and done nothing, you just keep wondering why has he not
Palace
broken through
didn't do it. Burnley hasn't done it.
So you know, there's got to be a reason for that. So you've got to have your doubts, and I don't see us exploring that really. I don't.
Well, if you'd like to get involved in the Fly Me message boards, they are very popular. All you've got to do is do a Google search for Fly Me to the Moon, but not spell it out. FMTTM. Fly Me to the Moon. FMTTM message board. Stick message board on the end. You'll find it. It's there. And a good job that Robert and his team does. Fellas, looking ahead, next 6 games, we had our own very poll asking fans to predict how many points over the next 6 games. Away to Watford, home to West Ham, home to West Brom, away to Spurs, home to Everton, and away to Palace. Can you remember what you predicted, how many points we'd get?
I think I said 9, didn't I? Which you thought was quite optimistic.
Well, it is very optimistic, mate. I hope it comes true. Neil, what were you thinking? Can you remember?
I said between 6 and 7.
6 to 7? No,
I'd take 9, definitely.
No, absolutely, so would I. Having a look at the poll, the majority of Borough fans reckoned 6 or 7. So the options were 8 or more, 6 or 7, 4 or 5, or 3 or less. 45% of fans reckon it's going to be 6 or 7, 33% 8 or more. So you fall in. It's good to see the positivity around there. The reason why we ask is, you know, we've got a tough run into the end of that season, haven't we?
Definitely.
The last 5 games, I think there's only Bournemouth at home where you can look at it and say, we've got to bank on getting something out of that game and pulling some points out of there, because the likes of Chelsea's and who's it else we've got to play? Liverpool's at Anfield last game of the season.
I think Arsenal's in there somewhere.
Arsenal's in there, pretty tough. So it's good to see that the fans are thinking now's the time to put the foot down and accelerate. Paddy Baller, 1 away win, 1 away draw, 1 home win, 1 home draw. That's my prediction. Fingers crossed and hope. One thing we're going to have to do, though, if we're going to do that, fellas, is start scoring goals. Interesting stats coming up from Borough Stats. They tweeted these. They did a comparison over the last 4 league games. Leicester, Borough, Palace and Sunderland. Percentages, Borough by far the highest percentages as far as possession's concerned. So out of the 4 teams, we have more possession. However, when you look at shots on target, Leicester 18, Palace 13, Sunderland 14, Borough 9. We've got to start really grabbing games by the throat, haven't we, Si?
Oh, definitely. I mean, those stats don't surprise me one little bit. You only have to, if you think back to the Leicester game, what do we have? 1 shot on target, and that was from a fullback. It's not good enough. You know, I watched granted, it was a cup game last night, Manchester United versus Hull. They just peppered the goal, and you know, eventually a couple flew in. Surely you've got to take that particular way of looking at it. If you're not going to shoot, if you're only going to have 2-3 shots in a match, you've got no chance really. No, we've got to go for it a lot more. We've got to have a new style, but whether that's going to happen, well, I don't know, because we've got this far into the season and it hasn't, and you kind of think, is there going to be an entirely new way of playing in the second half of the season? I think not. We can want it, and I think we can hope for it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, well, let's keep our eye on that, and we'll keep our eye on the points table as well as the end of the season starts inching nearer. Talking of which, the next game immediately on our hands is Watford away. Neil, where are your thoughts on that?
Well, we've never really...
They're 2 places above us.
Yeah.
3 points ahead of us, but we've got a better goal difference. If we win, we'll go above them. But can we?
I'd like to think we could, but I mean, we've never really had the best of luck at Vicarage Road. I mean, Watford aren't playing their greatest games, well, form just now. So, I mean, you'd like to think that we could go there and you know, give a good performance, possibly get Justed on, possibly get, dare I say, Jordan Rhodes, and maybe get a couple of goals. But
there's a pig flying across the window. Sorry.
But yeah, it's...
prediction. What do you think?
I'd like to say we could win 1-0.
Scrape a 1-0 win, 3 points.
Well, definitely, but it's because we're not scoring as frequently and as taking our chances. It's it's difficult to say that we could score 3 or 4, but
Well,
having said that, we
no wrong with that.
knocked 3 against Sheffield Wednesday, but
I'll be happy if he comes off the referee's backside in the 6-yard box, mate. If it's
Well,
1-0
they all
and 3 points, hey, I'll be happy with that, but I wouldn't put money on
field
it.
player.
So 1-0 for you, Borough win. That's what you're going for. You're nailing your colours. Simon, what do you reckon?
I'd like to see a win, obviously, but I mean, Watford surprised me because they were really solid last season. I thought they were a good Premier League outfit in the first season, but they seem to be having second season syndrome. And I think that, I mean, certainly the other week against Spurs, they were absolutely dreadful, apparently. And the general reports is that the general form has dropped off. So it's a good time to be playing them, I think. And I'll be disappointed with anything less than a point, but I'm thinking this could be the 3 points for us. I really do.
Scoreline?
2-1.
2-1. Good man. Oh, I like your positivity. I'd like to think we'll get 3 points out of it as well. And being the man who predicted 3-0 on this very show against Sheffield Wednesday last week, I'd like to say 1-0. Something's horrible telling me it's going to be a 1-1 draw, but I'll go for the 1-0. I'll subscribe to the let's all three of us go for the points. Gents, thank you very much. We keep our fingers crossed. We need points on the board, Aitor. Let's bang those goals in, fellas. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Come on, boy, we can beat these Saturday.
Come on, lads, believe. Come on.